Hi, everybody. So, we bit of alchemy. I'm Rick Barrett. Welcome. Sharon brought up a couple of really interesting questions, and I'd like to explore them a little bit with you this evening. And it kind of fits in with some of the stuff we've been doing lately. And the first one is, what about your glutes? You know, that the there's a lot of emphasis in for people who exercise, physical therapy and whatnot, about making sure that you're activating your glute muscles, particularly when you stand or walk or whatever. And the question is, what application does that have to us in doing Taiji and the internal arts, Taiji, Qigong, and the various, internal Chinese martial arts? And so I want to give my opinions about that and what works for me. And the other thing is hands. How do we get active hands? And Maria countered with, well, what about hands and feet? So getting the what part does that have to play in what we're doing there, active hands and feet? So let's first of all take a look at the glute question. So the glutes are basically three muscles that are your butt muscles: gluteus maximus, gluteus medius, and gluteus minimus. And sounds like a Monty Python sketch, but it's a those are your butt muscles. And so there's a lot of emphasis I've run into on, like, make sure you got firm, engaged butt muscles. And the classic is the buns of steel. And a lot of that, it has to do with vanity. Just, like, hey, I want to have my butt looks really good. But in terms of Taijiquan, I actually find that tight butt muscles gets in the way, and it makes it very difficult to engage your chin, your internal power, whenever your butt muscles are tight. And so let's take a look at the function of the glutes. First of all, are just, they're basically muscles that do a very limited number of things for us. They work toward abduction, which is opening up, and then there's also extension. So if I'm doing, let's say, if I'm doing this, I'm using my glute, right? I'm reaching back with my foot, and I'm going to use my glute muscles to do that. And whenever I'm extending, so if I pick up my leg to kick, I might engage my glutes there. But I find that even that is less likely if I'm doing a proper Taiji kick. So what I have found is that if you are not having uh, muscular tension in your butt as you're feeling that internal power, you're probably doing something very right. And it's certainly in keeping with my view on these things. I, Valerie coined the term squishy baby butt, when you can just reach around and just feel your muscular tension as you're in a proper Taiji posture. Whenever you're in central equilibrium, I have almost zero muscular tension in my butt. And what I've found is that a lot a lot of muscular tension. It's a very common thing to have tension in your butt, and that's something that, you know it is so common that people think it's natural to do that. But I just because it's commonplace does not mean it's the most efficient way of going about it. And what I've found is that extremely difficult to have sung qua, to release the tension in your hip area and sink into your qua if you have localized muscular tension. So that's and it will block the flow of qi in your body. So when we talk about central equilibrium, we're talking about opening up the energy gates through your feet and into the earth, feeling that yang qi from the earth coming, or yin qi from the earth rising, the yang qi from the heavens coming down. And if your butt is tight, it's going to make probably going to make your qua tight and make it very difficult to do that. And that's going to restrict the flow of energy in your legs. Now, this may not be true for everyone. I'm just saying that this is my experience on this. And it's something that, I have yet to run into an example where that's not the case. But, what it is, ordinarily people who depend a lot, they use their butt muscles to stabilize their hip area. So they there's a primitive stress response that gets triggered that causes us to clench our butt muscles, and for a lot of people actually that's 24/7. Even while they're sleeping, they're really tight in the butt. And I'm saying let's let that go and learn how to move more efficiently, relax and flow. So a lot of the authorities will say you're using your glutes whenever you're walking or running, and I don't find that to be the case. If I'm walking really efficiently, there's a very easy glide to it, and there's almost no tension in the butt. So to go back and to clarify this, we're always using our muscles, even our glutes. Everything is they're always being used. If you're standing up, you're using them, but that's very different from tightening them to contract your muscles. So if I'm going to, let's say I'm doing a biceps curl, I'm contracting, shortening my biceps muscle to create this kind of effect. And that's cool. But it's a very short muscular connection there. And there's very little jin involved. That's like almost pure li when I'm doing that. Same thing if I'm walking and I'm, consciously bearing down on tightening my butt muscles. I'm doing that. It's interfering with the smooth operation of your body. And the beautiful thing is that whenever we're practicing our jin, and you can demonstrate this, that while you're able to generate tremendous amount of internal power, you're not tensing up those butt muscles. So that's that first issue. We're going to get to that. We'll play around with that a little bit whenever I stand up, and we'll go around and do that. But the second question is hands and feet. It's to actually, active hands and feet. So last week we had I drew a line there for the lung meridian. It's actually right here on the thumb, the lung meridian.
Isn't that the heart? Heart on the
heart's on the pinky.
Okay.
So and this the heart meridian comes from on the pinky on the outside of your forearm here down to and your lung meridian goes down here and it goes down through there. The heart meridian starts at your armpit, and your lung right here starts right here. So the they end up in your fingertips. So when you're actively engaging your fingers, you're working your meridians. Those are just two of them, and we'll play around with that a little bit today. But if you are consciously engaging your hands and your feet. Last week we did with the a thing with the kidney meridian and the spleen, and connect that up with the three nails. And so there's a lot of actions happening there. So what I'm suggesting is that we are start developing a conscious relationship with these parts of our body, and so, but in so doing, we are on a substantial level. We are enhancing our neural connections to these parts of our body. On the insubstantial level, we are creating these energy pathways, and we're actually, the energy pathways are already there, but we're enhancing them just by use. And consequently, we're going to have more chi in our hands and our feet as we do this. More hands in your more chi in your hands and your feet is going to send more blood to those areas. It'll improve your circulation. And I, there's a lot of literature that indicates that that also helps to control arthritis in hands and feet, which is kind of a cool thing to do. On an even more insubstantial level, every time you consciously do something or consciously feel something, you are creating this opportunity to move into a superconscious state, and therefore are able to activate a whole body energetic connection. This is something that is we've been working on for years here on this show, but it's something throughout your day. If you just touch your fingers together, you know, and you do it consciously, it becomes a meditation. You know, it's something, if you do it as a fidgeting thing, you know, then it's just it's nervous energy, and you're not really engaging. But I'm talking about consciously, deliberately, intentionally, volitionally touching your fingers together or moving your finger. You know, I've been talking for years about pointing and reaching as a way of establishing your energetic coherence. But we take this even further, and we include, you know, touching your thumb and your little finger together, and you feel that. So we have that. Oh, we're bringing the lung and the heart together, and so just do that right now. Just kind of just bring those together. This is kind of like very similar to mudras in various spiritual traditions, where you feel that, you touch those together and just notice that something's going on, that there is an energetic connection there that you're doing. But beyond that, even more insubstantial than the energy, is that state of being changes. You move into that superconscious state, and you can do it anywhere, anytime. You know, just feel those things. You're deliberately engaging that, and that sets up that conscious feeling, conscious doing is the first step, which leads us into internal power, into Jin, understanding Jin. And whenever we do that, the more familiar we get with that, the more we understand the Jin, the more we're able to apply it, and in various situations. So let's stand up, and we're going to explore glutes and conscious movement with our hands and feet. Okay. Okay, so let's begin with our three nails, or our three pillars. Energetic coherence, central equilibrium, and unkinking the hose. And so here we're also using that conscious doing, conscious feeling, which can be done anywhere, anytime, and it creates that immediate state of super consciousness. And it's not a there. I'll put it, there's a spectrum of super consciousness, so that it is you can get more by bringing more to it. The more intention, the more mindfulness you bring to this, the more super consciousness you'll be able to partake in any given moment. Let's begin by feeling our central equilibrium. Start with your weight in along the insides of your feet, what we call the three nails. In the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about that. So the feeling along the big toe line on the inside of your heel, and just feel that support that comes from the medial line. Talking about the substantiality of that support, but also tune into the energy that immediately activates in your body whenever you do that. When you bring your awareness to that point, to those points, feel that connection and consciously intend to do that, so that conscious feeling and doing immediately activates the this alchemy that we're engaged in. And now go to the balls of your feet and feel those. So that's the second nail there, and feel that. Last week we talked about the spleen meridian running along the inside of your foot there, up your calf, actually continues up to your body, up to your armpits, and then down. But right now we're just taking it up to the knees, and just feel that connection there. Also, as you do that, feel the kidney meridian, which starts at the kidney 1 point at the bubbling well, and feel that come up on the inside of your foot and up to around your knee, and just feel that. So we're immediately getting active with the feet. You reach with the crown of your head, tuck in your chin, and notice the energy that gets generated with that. Open the jade pillow gate and allow the Jing Shen to fill your whole body, amplifies your field, and brings that spiritual energy into your brain. Into the mud pill palace. Point with your index fingers and feel that energetic coherence. Reach with the elbows, open your shoulder joints, let your arms relax, get very soon. Release your quads, spiraling down, turning, and now just feeling into that, and just reach around and just feel your butt. And you want to just notice, like, what's going on there. If you're doing this as I'm describing it, there should be little or no muscular tension in your butt. If there's a lot of tension, it probably means your quad's not tightly sewn. So you would just kind of let go down and feel the support. Most of the support is going to come from the fronts of your legs, your thighs, and even the backs of your legs. Your hamstrings are going to be kind of soft also. So feel that. Now, just very gently, just touch your index finger and your thumb together. and feel the energy that produces. It has its own distinct quality. And it has something to do with the meridians involved, but we're not going to get into that. I just want you to feel it on an experiential level. Now, take the middle finger and the thumb and touch those together. And feel that. And for me, it feels a little different. So this is something you can explore on your own, throughout your day. Just like, oh, okay, what does that feel? And it might change, throughout the day, the feeling you're going to get there. But one thing I do know is that just by consciously doing this, deliberately doing this, I am creating this superconscious state. And I'm also connecting up energies in my body and allowing things to flow more freely. Let's take it to the ring finger and the thumb and feel into that. You breathe and just allow yourself to sink. Now go to the little finger and the thumb and feel that. So here we're connecting up the heart and the lung meridian. Now sink into your heels while still maintaining your central equilibrium. And relax your hands, but just feel that. It's like you're squeezing something, but without even moving. You're just feeling that effect of that. And reach around, grab your butt, and this time tighten your butt muscles. And just notice what that feels like whenever you're tightening them, whenever you're contracting your gluteus muscles, your three gluteus muscles, and just feel that tightness there. Now let that go, and just feel yourself getting sung into your legs. Feel that you're still in your heels, but you're just feeling very sung, and just feel that tension going away. Now tighten them up again. Just feel that, what it feels like to have tight glute muscles, and then release that. And you get to decide for yourself which one you want. If you want to just be able to relax and get very sung in this, or you want to have that muscular tension there, the muscular contraction. So even as we're standing here, we're using our glute muscles, but they're very relaxed. They don't need to be contracted because we're not doing anything. Now, if I want to activate my glute muscles, it's a very simple way of doing that. And if I want to tone up my glute muscles, what do? I just sink down. I just go down into a squat, and then as I do that, I'm going to be activating my glutes. So if I want that exercise, all I got to do is squat. If I go into a bow stance and sink down, I can sink down really low. The lower I go, the more I'm using my glute muscles. But for most of what we're doing, we're not doing that. We're kind of flowing, gently flowing in our Taiji form. If we go into a bow stance, horse stance rather, go into horse stance, and you sink down, I'm not really activating my glutes much at all here. I'm using them, but I'm not tightening them. So there, I'm feeling the energy along the fronts of my thighs. Now stepping in. So the key here is if you're not activating your glutes and your physical therapist tells you, hey, dude, you're not activating your glutes, you know, it's not necessary for most of what we're doing. If you need to strengthen them, there are lots of exercises you can do to tighten your glutes to get the buns of steel. And if you want to, even if you're like into like say doing deadlifts, something like that, you're probably going to need some support there. But for most of what we're doing, we don't need that additional support, that tightening of the butt muscles in order to keep the hip area stable, because we're using different muscles to make that happen. By aligning with the lines of force in the body, feeling the weight along the medial line, let that go up, and you're using your core muscles. I mean, you can probably feel as you're doing this, you can feel your abdomen. You might feel that there's a kinetic chain going, but it's not running up the posterior line, it's running up the anterior line. So, but we're letting go, dropping down, and we're depending on those 3 nails to do the work for us. The weight still spread throughout the foot. We're still feeling those 3 nails. So that's let's do something with the. We're going to use the hands and the feet to really focus on. We're going to do a little meditation where we're activating our hands and feet and just feeling the effects of that, the energy circulation throughout the body. This is something that can be applied to any Taiji, Qigong, any internal Chinese martial art. Because the more you can consciously activate these extremities, the more the energy is going to circulate. So let's actually, before I turn around, let's start from here and bring your weight into your heels and feel your 3 pillars: your central equilibrium, energetic coherence, and unkink the hose. And by unkinking the hose, we're getting very sung and release. And now go into the balls of your feet and reach with your wrists. Relax your elbows. Feel your fingers. You can kind of wiggle them there. You want to feel that. Feel your fingers. But you're reaching with your wrists. You're reaching with your elbows. You're opening. You're unlocking your shoulders as you do this. And bring them up to about chest height. And then reach out with your fingers. Open your back between your shoulder blades. Reach out with your fingers and press down with your big toes as you do that. So to feel that connection there. So we've gone from a yin to a yang to an even more yang, as with this extension here. And now we're going to sink into the heels. Reach down with the elbows, down with the wrists. Let the fingers rise as you come down there. You're leading with the wrists. Just pause a moment here and feel into your hands, into your fingers as you do this. And then continue down. And point down, reach down with your fingers. And feel that yin sinking into the heels. And go to the balls of your feet, reach with your wrists. Let your fingers hang. And even here, we're engaging the fingers. There's no muscular contraction, but we're consciously relaxing the fingers to create that effect. Reach with your elbows, open your back, reach with your fingers, go to the big toes, press down. So we're coordinating the fingers and the toes. You can feel all the toes, you can press down with all of them. We're primarily focusing on the big toe, but you can feel all of them. And just notice that how that's lighting up your energy field. And sink into your heels. Feel the yin as you reach down with your elbows. Reach down with your wrists, bend your wrists and raise your fingers. Fingers are very soft. Now, go to the balls, go to the big toe, press down, reach down, and feel that. Feel that there's a yang expression there as we extend downward. And then sink back into the heels and feel the yin. So we're familiarizing ourselves with that yin-yang interplay of the energies. We're familiarizing ourselves with the hands and feet and the parts they have to play here. One more time, let's feel the ball of your feet. Reach with your wrists, your fingers, and reach with it. Press down with the toes as you reach with the fingers. Open your back. And sink into your heels. And before you go down, now I want you to, we're going to activate the heart. Okay, remember the heart meridian is running along the outside of your arm, going down to the armpit here. So we're going to use that. We're going to consciously feel that little finger, and we're going to rotate the forearms so the palms are up. Feel that, so that we're leading by the heart. And just reaching out. I don't think I mentioned it, but you should be on the balls of your feet right now as you do this. Press down with the big toe. And just feel that connection there. Now we're going to sink into the heels. We're going to use the lung and the thumb here, running along the inside of the forearm here up to the upper chest. So it's we're sinking there, and we're turning back as we do that. So that now go into the balls of your feet. Feel those little fingers. Feel that. Feel the heart meridian, and you're reaching. And the heart is fire. Press down with the big toes. Feel the fire there. Feel that yang qi. Sink into your heels and reach with your thumb, your lung meridian, and feel that yin as you relax down. One more, sink into the balls of your feet. Reach with that little finger, open. Feel all your fingers, feel all your toes, but you're primarily focusing on the little finger there and your big toe right now as you're feeling that yang expression. And then sink into your heels, reach with your thumb, your lung, sink into the heels. Yeah, hands come down. Relax. And let that energy circulate. Now step in, take a deep breath and reach up. Gather, go into the balls of your feet and then sink down and press down. Pause and feel into the emptiness of that. Check your glutes. How tense are they? What happens if you let go of that tension? How does that affect your energy? How does that affect your stability? So this is your self-awareness here. I've shared with you what works for me. And I'm sure I'm not the only voice on this. I'm sure that there are those who express different opinions. But I've found this to be a very effective way to minimize the obstructions to the energy in my body. Just feel into your body right now and see what you can let go and how that affects your energy. Okay. Please have a seat. A little warm there, Valerie?
How did we get up there?
Don't know.
Good. Any thoughts, anyone? Scott?
So it was really interesting how much the flavor changes with each finger. It's I can't really describe each feeling, but every one was completely different. It was really surprising how different they were.
Cool.
And
I felt the same. Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, this is interesting.
yeah. And at the end when you were saying let go, I was like, well, I thought I let go of everything, but then when I checked in, oh yeah, there was more to let go. And
Nice.
as I let go more, the energy just went whoosh.
Nice.
Even though I thought I was letting go.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's good. Me too. It's something that, there's more.
Mm,
There's more sung we can get. And with that, we allow more internal power to express itself.
it's a good thing to remember.
Cool. Richard, you had something.
I just this is kind of a long-standing issue with me is relaxing my glutes. Um, in any time I pay attention to my glutes, they're tensed. And one of the things that I noticed today was that relaxing my glutes uh, does not weaken my structure.
Mm,
I'm just as solid structurally. The main thing that strengthens my structure is being in the center. And the work that we've done recently on that has been very helpful to me.
Right.
So I know that that clenching or tightening my glutes does not enhance my structure. In fact, it's counterproductive. But I can't stop doing it.
mm.
No matter no matter how often I relax my glutes, I can't stop having them almost immediately clench. So that's just something that I am continually working on, and I know that there's no benefit to clenching my glutes. But I did have a question. It occurs to me that I don't know really anything about the practice of Tai Chi running, uh, but I'm guessing that a principle of Tai Chi running is not to use your glutes to clench to run. It's to learn to relax. I don't know if anybody knows the techniques or the principles of that, but
I used to do it. My knees forbid much running now, but back in the day, it's more of a gliding. You're
right.
just you're you're just floating across the yeah, kind of more like like a deer or a gazelle. You know.
I'm just wondering if if learning something about that, if we would learn something about that, that would be helpful for Sharon, because her glute issue is aggravated by walking, and so I'm just wondering, I'm just thinking maybe we should investigate the principles of Tai Chi running, walking a little bit more.
Well, the walking thing, follows the same principles. You know, heel, ball, toe.
Right.
As you're going along, and you're extending your leg, but with not necessarily tightening up your glutes. My understanding was with Sharon, you correct me if I'm wrong, Sharon, is that there's not really a problem there with that. It just says you're not activating them. Is that correct?
No, actually, it leads to dysfunction in the joint for me.
Oh, I see. Okay,
Yeah.
I see.
Mm.
That's a problem. In which joint?
Femur, the femurs, the way it rotates and
Okay, the
moves. Yeah.
acetabulum. Okay,
Yeah.
the hip joint, basically what you're
Yeah.
talking about. So you're not saying that there's not enough support there in your okay, that's an interesting question. That's a different question. That's something that I'm quite. It may not be a glute issue, that tightens that together. But cool. That's something that we can explore too. The Taiji
Um,
walking. Yeah, go ahead.
I know I wanted to tell you, I very much appreciated the exercise where we tighten the glutes and then release them and observed ourselves. And when I clenched them, I could clearly feel a cessation of energy running my legs. And when I relaxed, it was like a floodgate of energy. Very, 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 very evident. Um, Playing with the fingertips, I also noticed that it's very different on different parts of the fingertip.
Mm,
There's a difference between
hmm.
if you can see right at the end or here, it all it's all different.
Beautiful,
Mhm.
beautiful, cool. Anybody else? Valerie.
I feel like I have three baseball mitts on. I got because I was focused more on the hands than I was in the feet. My feet feel, thought directs energy, energy follows your thought, so my feet were bigger, my hands were bigger, but my hands were really bigger. Um, and somebody mentioned this last week. Was it you, Sharon, about feeling the energy spiraling?
Yeah.
Yes, I really got that in the ring finger on each hand.
Mm,
I got that, the wrapping around was very, very strong there.
mm,
Um, and like, other people have said about feeling the different flavors, in each finger was very cool to experience that because I haven't really focused on that before in that way. Um, when we were done, I this was just not an affectation. It was like I was so hot, just so much energy. And I felt really good. I mean, I was really hot, but it felt really, really good. So it was a great experience
Wonderful.
for me.
Thank you. Cool. Sharon.
I'd like to say one more thing. I've been working with my hands probably close to 35 years. And well, they may not look youthful, but they are.
Mm.
You know, they're not arthritic, they're not crooked, they function, and I attribute that all to all of this work.
Nice. Cool. Anybody else? Scott.
So I have the opposite problem of Richard. I can't even really tighten my glutes. Like you were telling me to tighten my glutes, I don't even really know how to do that. And I seem to function, so I don't know if I don't know what that means or not mean or not, or if you have any thoughts. But
Well, if you go down to a deep squat,
if I go down a deep squat, the fronts of my thighs burn, but not my glutes.
there's no contraction in your butt muscles.
Not really, no.
Actually,
When you come up,
if you lift your, if we rise out of a chair, if you try getting up out of the chair and just feel your glute muscles as you do that, and sitting down, or just hover around you'll probably feel something there. And
Maybe a little bit, but it's mostly thighs.
I'm with you. I don't get much, but there's something
Okay.
there. In other words, you use them efficiently. You don't need to say, "Oh, I'm going to tighten my glutes now to get this done." It's like, no, I just do this thing, and whatever muscles are needed to do the thing are used. But you're not.
He's married to the squishy butt lady.
There you go.
So you're not. We don't want to. Particularly in Taiji, we don't want to think like, I'm going to now tighten these muscles to get this effect. It's like, no, the muscles you'll use the muscles as needed, but your primary thing is on directing your intention, through the whole system as a system. Cool. Did you have your hand up there, Jonathan?
Maybe did I don't know.
This is a half hand.
I will say this. There was this thing, Jinshin Jitsu, I brought to the Open Center. This Mary Burmeister. It's all based on finger locks, just holding each finger, and each finger had, just did something to your whole body. So I think all of this individual finger work that you're starting to do, like tonight, I think there's a lot to explore there.
Yeah.
I mean, even just like make a fist, and now make a fist holding your thumb, and feel the difference. It's like you can feel the energy, sort of conserving the energy, and this way dissipating. It's such a simple little thing, but
Good point.
there's so much to explore here with, as we know from the pointing. But hey, there's other fingers to explore. So it's fun with fingers.
Yeah, fun with fingers. Beautiful.
and the
Okay,
holding of the fingers for emotions as well.
right?
Rare.
Okay. Thank you all so much. It's been a lot of fun. And
Very much fun. Thank you, Maria.
Love you, Maria.
Thank you, production
Thank
staff.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.